Wonderful. Great. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today to talk about CRID. So today's webinar is about CRID Clinical Research ID, which is a pioneering patient-generated unique identifier. And CRID was developed by Jerry Nesbitt, who's here with us, to help foster collaborative efforts in rare disease clinical research and eliminate data silos. Jerry has established a robust reputation in the healthcare and clinical research IT informatics areas. He directed the IT division for global research projects like the Epilepsy Phenome and Genome Project and the Human Epilepsy Project from 2007 to 2014 at the University of California in San Francisco. And then in 2014, he designed and implemented Clearinx, a cutting-edge web-based data collection system for epilepsy and rare disease clinical research, which is used in many projects globally. Then in 2019, he designed and launched CRID, Clinical Research ID, showcasing his unwavering dedication to advancing clinical research through innovative informatics solutions. So Jerry, thank you so much for joining the NR2F1 Foundation today. We are really pleased to have you, and I'm going to pass over to you so you can tell us more about CRID.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. So I just want to share my screen first. Okay. So let me start by stating what the problem is that CRID is addressing. So, some of the truths about clinical research in rare diseases is that the data that you provide to the clinical research studies, it's rarely shared or reused. So it's collected, it's analyzed, and then it becomes a data silo. It's archived away, usually never to be reused again. You'll find that, as you participate in each research study, you're completing the same forms repeatedly. These data, they're locked away in inaccessible, what's called data silos. And if they do endeavor to try and share or reuse data, there's no identifier that can link your data across different research studies. And what they have to use is your name, address, and date of birth in order to try and link your data. And that's actually not permitted. It's not allowed. It's not acceptable. So that is why I created CRID. Now here's a quote by Dr. Tracy Salazar. And this was back in 2021. She said, I don't know when all this started that we could enroll in a bunch of natural history studies and trials and genetic studies, that they were all not going to be coordinated. I thought that the data would be shared. I thought that it would be used to understand patient journeys. How does a child from being healthy to progressing into this disease state? How are we going to use that data to help the next generation of her daughter? We learned from trial and error that these trials were uncoordinated, and that Savannah was just another specimen in these uncoordinated studies. The system was supposed to be helping us. It was actually hurting us, and we were learning very little about her disease. It was not a learning system. It was a box checking system. Now, the problem here is that there's no identifier that can link this child, Savannah, her data across different research studies. And that's the problem that CRID is trying to address. And CRID is, a definition of it is, it's a unique universal patient-generated identifier to facilitate collaborative rare disease clinical research. Think of it like a social security number, but specifically for rare disease clinical research that's generated by the parent or the patient. So these are just some of the details on what's held on a CRID. So a nickname, first name, last name, sex, date of birth, and then an identifier that's automatically generated when you create a CRID. Now, what I'm going to do is, after this slide, I will take you through a full demo, but this slide kind of illustrates the big picture of what CRID does. So you can imagine the patient or the parent will go to the CRID website here on the left-hand side. They'll generate a CRID for themselves or their child. And they will share that CRID with each research study that they're enrolled on. So it could be study A, study B, a patient registry. And they each generate their own data set. And now, because there's an identifier that can link that patient's data across research studies, that data can now be merged, shared, reused across different research studies. And that's what CRID does. So the benefits of CRID are it will allow you to reuse, merge, share de-identified research data. It eliminates data silos. You can share data without sharing any private health information or patient identifying information. And it's up to the parent or the patient to decide if they wish to share their CRID with the research study. So you can be part of a research study, and it's optional whether or not you want to share your CRID on that research study. So the CRID principles are, it's always free for the patient or the parent, it's always optional, and it's always private. CRID is IRB approved, which means that the purpose of CRID and how we use the data, it's transparent and ethical. Now I'm going to jump over to the website to give you a demo. So when you come to the CRID website, which is thecrid.org, this is the first page that you'll see. Now, if you have an account, you can log in, but the first time that you want to access the system, you will have to create an account, and you will click on the Create an Account button. And it doesn't allow you to create an account straight away. It'll ask you for your email address, and what it will do then is it will send you an email containing a link, just like this one here, that will allow you to create your account. The purpose of this is to ensure that the email address is valid and it exists, and it's genuine, and it's to stop any fake accounts from being created. And you will click on this link, and it will then bring you to a web page like this, Create an Account, where you'll type in your email address, a password, which must be at least 8 characters long in length and contain at least one uppercase, one lowercase, a number, and a special character. Special character being like an exclamation point or percentage sign. You will type that password, put in your first name, last name, and then if you want, you can put in a backup email address. So if, for instance, this primary email address you no longer have access to it, you can still log in using this backup email address. And then you will click Save. Okay. I'm actually going to log in with. There's.
This just proves we're doing it live, Jerry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to log in with my actual account. Okay. So when you log in to the system, you won't see these here, but you'll see an icon for add a new person. And you will put in the person to be your child or your nickname. And then these fields here are optional. So you can put in the disease name, like NR2F1, or the gene NR2F1, and if you want even the genetic information. And then click Save. And then it will create, it's actually this one here. It will create a CRID identifier, which is just random letters and numbers. The letters will not contain a O or I, and the numbers 0 and 1 will not be used, so there'll be no confusion. And And so that is the identifier. You can click on it. It'll display more information on it here. And it's this identifier that you will share with each research study that you are enrolled in. If you wish to change any of the information, you can click Edit and click Save. And that's how easy it is to create a CRID. You will also then receive an email saying that a CRID was created using this email address, and this is the CRID, this is the person's details, and there's the CRID identifier. So you'll have an email record of it too. And then when you wish to leave the system, you can, there's a log out button, click log out, and it logs you out of the system. And that is how you create the CRID, and a CRID account and a CRID identifier.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
And I know you made it look simple there, but it really is. When I went in the first time myself, I was amazed that literally I was expecting to have to do sort of 20 minutes work, and it was no more than 2 minutes. So it really is a nice and simple way to do it. And we've talked about it before, but this is available globally. Is that right?
Yeah. So this is not a US or Australian solution. It's designed to be used by anybody globally. There are a couple of countries that I exclude, just because a lot of hackers come out of those countries, so I refuse them. But basically, it's available anywhere in the world for anybody. It's a global solution.
Fantastic. That's really great for us with such a global community as well.
Mm.
Shall we turn it to the audience for any questions that anyone might have?
I have a question. Thanks, Jerry, excuse me. I noticed on your screen, I didn't know if that was just because it was your screen or not, or you said you had 5 separate CRIDs up there, and there was a notification saying that you have 5.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, are folks doing? Do they need one for each research sort of program, or is that just because you're using it for demos?
It's one. No, it's one CRID for each person. So you can imagine a parent might create their own CRID, because they could easily be a participant in a study, maybe quality of life parent study, a parent of a child with a particular disease. So they may participate in a study. So it's one per person, not one per study.
Okay, great. And it can be used kind of in perpetuity. It's just, and then as additional data about you sort of gets known, it sort of links up with that CRID, and hopefully others can benefit from it.
Yeah, it's that CRID, just like your social security number, it follows you around across all the different research studies. And in 1 or 2 years' time, it's when the true value will be realized, when different researchers can merge data and view a much more complete record of your research data based on that identifier.
And as a live example, we ask all patients who are participating in the biorepository project for us to have their CRID ID number as well. So it's definitely sort of becoming a daily practice for us that we're mentioning.
Yeah, and to add on to that, Jen, the CRID is also associated with people's information on Matrix. And so any of the surveys that people have taken about their kids' health, whether that's taking the Vineland, which I know is everyone's favorite, and you don't want to take that more than once. And so having that associated with the CRID, and then the other information like demographics and genetic variant, and then their specific samples in the biorepository, all of that is linked by the CRID. And so researchers are able to associate all of those different facets of your child's health together into one centralized way.
I have a quick question. So if you use the CRID on a research study, you're basically giving the researchers all of that information about your child, like all the information in Matrix and all. Okay,
No, a CRID, it's just an identifier. So all you are giving is a CRID. that identifier to each research study. It just enables research study A and research study B, if they want, and it's approved by an ethics committee, they can then merge data. So they may have Vineland from study A and a Vineland from study B. They can actually, and they were performed at different time points. They can merge that data and learn new facets of information from that.
But you would still have to consent to that, correct?
Oh, absolutely. CRID does not just gives them the means to link data, doesn't give them the permission.
Okay.
That still has to be approved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
the
verify that.
biorepository consent form asks for consent to associate
Right.
all of that data with the samples themselves. So yes, excellent point, Katia. Thank you for stressing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care, obviously, within our community. I just want, to be informed as to how much information you're giving out.
Right.
To
Yeah.
other...
People should always have that option. Yeah.
Yeah. And my other question is there any way to, like using the CRID to find out what studies the CRID has been associated with, like as a parent or as the person holding the CRID? Do I have access to this CRID has been, identified in these research studies?
I don't have access to that information. So Matrix or Combined Brain doesn't have to tell me that they're using CRID. So I have no visibility into that. It's like you would know which researchers you have shared it with. So
right. I'm just curious, just for, again, like, say, safety, if if you can verify that this CRID has never been used, in the past, or...
Yeah, no, I don't have visibility into that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's a perfect lead into data privacy and security, Jerry, as well. If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so a lot of people genuinely have a concern of their data up on the internet somewhere. Just to let you know that the CRID system is implemented on an Amazon cloud server based in the European Union. So it's covered by GDPR laws. And all of the data in the system is encrypted. So I could give anybody a copy of the database. And it's absolutely no use to them because it's all encrypted, which is, not many database systems actually do that. So it's encrypted at various levels, but it's actually encrypted in its raw form. And even if somebody got into the system, which is unlikely, it's useless because they can never decipher the data.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience?
I do have one. Jerry, so how many other foundations, for example, or rare disease organizations have advocated and signed up for the CRID?
Well,
some perspective.
I was mentioning about, I don't have visibility into who's using it, but
right.
They do. But I do have an answer though. But they do contact me, like the way your organization contacted me, so I know which ones have contacted me and are using it. So I'm aware of about 50 organizations that are using it, and I'm sure there are a lot more because there are over 100. If you break down the CRIDs that have been created, there are over 100 genes recorded. In terms of accounts, there are nearly 4,000 CRIDs. It's about 3,000 user accounts, but it's about 4,000 CRIDs at this point.
That's great. Good to know.
Any other questions?
I would just add, if anybody, even anybody who's having a difficulty creating a CRID, or if I see they're having difficulty creating CRID, just contact me. and I will help you resolve whatever the issue is that you're having.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I'm sure people take you up on that occasionally.
Okay.
Great. All right. Well, Jerry, thank you so much for your time and telling us more about this. We're really appreciative to learn more. And as I say, for the NR2F1 Foundation, we definitely encourage and require CRID for our biorepository. So we hope that you'll see more and more signups from the NR2F1 gene coming through as well.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.